Hello and welcome back. I am in like full Passover cleaning mood right now. Like I have done the entire house now except for the kitchen. I went ahead and got a little bit started on the kitchen last night, but today is like the big day. So today is cleaning the kitchen in its entirety, and then tomorrow is koshering everything. And of course, I'm gonna be taking you guys along for the ride. Hi, I am Hannah. This is Jar of Fireflies. Here you will find videos all about my life as an Orthodox Jewish homeschooling mother of 3. And hey, if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you here again. In the meantime, let's get back to Passover cleaning. Okay, so just to show you guys real quick what I have done already is I have pulled everything out of my pantry that we can use for Passover, as well as a couple more things that we purchased, such as potato chips, and gone ahead and put those in here so that we are ready. And then I have room in my pantry to store things like the dishes that we will not be using for Passover. I also have here my handy dandy list. This list is put out by the West Coast Rabbinical Court of Beverly Hills, and it basically goes through all the food and tells us what is kosher for Passover and what is not. We also purchased a couple of new pans. They are down here, as well as some new dish towels that we will use for Passover. All right, let's get back to the kitchen. Okay, so like I said, I did get ready a little bit last night to get things prepped a little bit for this big clean. Mainly just trying to clean up in here a little bit, getting stuff off the counter so that it's not as crowded as, say, it normally would be when I wake up on a Monday morning. It is Monday, by the way. Today is Monday, and I will be finishing with the actual kashering process tomorrow, Tuesday, all of which will be included in this video. For Passover, which starts on Saturday night. Of course, we've got Saturday in there and Friday getting ready for Shabbat. So, and of course, family coming in town this week. So yeah, I'm like, today's the day. If I don't get it done today, like we're in trouble. Anyhow, so let's get to it. Okay, so let me preface all of this by saying that this cleaning that I'm doing before I officially kosher the kitchen is definitely part of the koshering process. The counters and everything have to be completely clean in order for me to do the actual koshering of, for example, the counters or the stovetop. So what I'm working on right here, right now, is clearing everything off and putting it all somewhere else, depending on whether we can use it during Passover or not, so that I can get to work on having an empty surface that I can clean. So for example, the fruit and things there in my hands, I can just move those into the dining room for now because we can still eat that fruit. As a matter of fact, we ate it all before I finished filming this video. And other things like my KitchenAid mixer, for example, where I make my bread, which is straight hametz, I had to put away in my pantry because we are just shutting off the entire pantry. I pulled out things, as you saw earlier, that I'll be using for Passover from the pantry, and then that empties out some shelf space in there for me to store things like the dishes that I'll be adding to that later. So we are not planning to kosher the dishwasher, so I can continue using that all day, no problem. We just won't open it during Passover. So there are a couple of things there that I did need to hand wash, and then the rest I can load up in the dishwasher. So here I'm just loading up the dishes that were in the sink so that I can go ahead and run that dishwasher. I thought one more time, I ended up running it again later, but but this is just to get things clean so that I can store them for the next couple of weeks without having to worry about, food stuck on things. I also added in the racks that we keep at the bottom of our sink. I'm not sure if I can kosher those or not. I'm kind of doubtful on that, but I'll check with my husband later. Either way, they will need to get cleaned either before they get stored or before they get koshered. I put the last couple of dishes that I had hand washed away, and then I went ahead and put that drying rack into the dishwasher just to get that cleaned up. And then my little pad that I keep under there to soak up all the moisture, I put that into the washing machine. All of the kitchen towels and washcloths, anything like that, I am putting into the washing machine. So they're pretty much all in there except for a few that I have that I just washed that are in the laundry basket. So that's kind of what's up with the towels and things in the kitchen right now. But before Passover, I wash everything, every towel, washcloth, oven mitt, anything like that. I just put it all in the washing machine. Okay, so at this point here, I am starting to wipe down the counters. I'm using just a baby wipe right now. This is to get all the big stuff off the counters, any crumbs or little pieces of chopped vegetables, whatever could possibly be there. Next, I grab my favorite sponge and I'm using just some plain dish soap and water just to get off any of those sticky little trouble spots like that one right there, things that have kind of dried into the counter, and just give it a really good scrub. And I'm going to do that across all of the counters. Now, this sponge that I am using for the cleaning will definitely be also put away during Passover. I will have a brand new sponge during Passover that definitely would not have any crumbs in it. After the counters were sufficiently scrubbed, I just grabbed a kind of a kitchen rag, dish towel, and I'm just wiping them down. And as I'm wiping down the counters, I can kind of feel if there's another little spot like that one right there that I might have missed earlier, when the bubbles were kind of hiding any little areas. So yeah, just kind of going back, and that's double checking. And oh wait, there's another spot. So yeah, double checking. This is an area that we use a lot when we're cooking. So it was full of all kinds of fun things. All right, after I finished with the countertop, I just took that same sponge with the dish soap and water and went over the backsplash. There is absolutely no point in making the counters look all pretty like this and not doing the backsplash. Okay, and now on to the sink. I definitely needed to give the sink a good scrub. I scrub it pretty often, so it definitely wasn't too bad. But yeah, here I am just rinsing out any food that I can see visibly down the drain. And then I just got my same sponge with some dish soap and water and just kind of scrubbing everything down. Now, I did notice that I had to get really down in the corners because these sides and bottom are really squared off. I really had to kind of scrub down in those corners to make sure that I got out any grime or anything that was down in there. Gave it all a quick little rinse to get all that soap off, and then a quick wipe down with my kitchen rag. The wipe down was really just to make me feel better because that makes it all shiny in there. Okay, and so now I'm just moving to the other areas of the kitchen to do the same on the other two countertop surfaces and all of the backsplash on the other side. For the record, I love my white backsplash, but gosh darn it, it shows up every little speck of anything that gets on it. But that's okay, because like I said, it's still really pretty. Okay, now it's time to work on the fridge. Step 1 of kashering a refrigerator: empty it completely. As I was emptying my refrigerator, I made 2 piles. One pile was things from the refrigerator that I was going to store in our garage refrigerator for the duration of Passover, and the other pile were things that could go back into this refrigerator once I have finished cleaning it. So here is the pile of everything that cannot be used for Passover. And here's the pile of everything that can. Mainly it's meat and cheese and vegetables and a few other soy products like butter and soy milk. I also pulled all those little side shelves out of the refrigerator doors because I can just wash those there in the sink before I put those back in. Now, this is probably the dirtiest my refrigerator has ever been. I kind of stood back for a moment and just looked at it in awe that it had gotten to this point. But anyhow, I grabbed a baby wipe and just kind of started wiping them down really quickly so that when I pulled the shelves out, I wouldn't spill crumbs and food and things all over the floor. And then I pulled the shelves out so that I could wash those by hand in the sink as well. Definitely the easiest way to get them very clean, very quickly. As I got the shelves cleaned, I set them out here on the counter, just on a big bath towel so that they could dry. Okay, and so while all of that was drying, I went back into the refrigerator. That shelf there, I could not get out, and that bottom drawer also I could not get out. So for these, I'm just using some spray and another kitchen rag, and I'm cleaning them very well. I'm also cleaning the sides of the refrigerator, the insides of the doors, the back wall, the ceiling, like every little bit of the refrigerator needs to be completely clean. And that's basically the gist of koshering a refrigerator. It's really a matter of giving it a very detailed, very thorough clean. After I finished cleaning the inside of the refrigerator, I began moving all of those clean shelves back in. This same process was repeated with the freezer. All right, with everything cleaned, I was able to put all of the food into this clean refrigerator that we can use for Passover. And then I moved all the food that we couldn't use out into the refrigerator in our garage. During that process, I also checked the dates on everything and got rid of some things that were either expired or about to expire, or things that were dips and salads that we had made ourselves that we're not going to keep for 2 weeks in another refrigerator. So those all had to unfortunately get tossed. But then all of those containers filled up another load in the dishwasher. Okay, so now we're moving on to the oven. I'm starting with the bottom oven because this one is not as dirty, and I need some oven cleaner, some kind of degreaser, something like that, easy off, something like that my husband is going to pick up for me later in order to get the top oven clean. But in the meantime, basically, just to kosher the oven, it's very simple. If you have a self-cleaning cycle on your oven, you just need to clean your oven so that there's nothing in there, and then put it on the self-cleaning cycle. And once that's done, your oven is kosher. I can also only run one of my ovens on the self-cleaning cycle at a time. So I will probably do that top oven tomorrow. Anyhow, on to the kitchen table. Okay, the kitchen table needs a super thorough scrubbing, pretty much just like the counters. I won't be able to pour boiling water on this or anything to kosher it. We'll just keep tablecloths on here during the holiday. And that will make sure that if there is anything on the table that is left after my cleaning, that it won't get into our food. Okay, so yeah, just giving the table a really good cleaning as well as the chairs. All right, next up is the stove top, the range. Okay, so for this, all I can do is really get started. I'm moving all these grates and everything here off to the side so that I can scrub those later. And I'm just gonna be cleaning all of the big pieces of stuff and scrubbing off what I can here on this stove top, the range area, because I don't have that degreaser yet, and I definitely need that for cleaning this surface. There's no way I could do this with just, some cloths and some cleaning sprays. So we will loop back to this a little bit later in this video. All right, next up, trash cans. Yes, this is like the deepest clean that my kitchen ever gets because I probably wouldn't ever do this any other time of year. But I suppose it's nice that it gets done once, right? So anyways, cleaning the trash bin and the recycle bin, and also the area there underneath both of those bins, which actually was dirtier than I had realized. Like, I just had never really thought about that. So I will probably end up doing that periodically throughout the year. And lucky for me, these bins are still pretty new since we have just finished remodeling the kitchen, so they really were not that dirty. Okay, making great progress. Now I'm going to start pulling some of the things out of these upper cabinets that I'm going to be using for Passover. Okay, now we are Sephardi, and as Sephardi Jews, we can take all of our glass things, plates, baking dishes, glasses, like cups, all that sort of thing, and we can kasher those simply by rinsing them, and then they are fine to use for Passover. So I'm just gathering up all of those glass things that we'd like to use for Passover. I'm going to give them a good rinse and lay them out to dry on this towel. Now, Ashkenazi Jews, which is most of the Jews in America where I live, have an entirely different way of koshering glass. I believe that they need to soak it in water for 3 days, completely submerged, possibly changing out the water every 3 days. Not totally sure because, hey, I'm Sephardi. But yeah, it's totally different for them because we have so many differences with how we kosher things and what we're allowed to eat versus what they're allowed to eat during Passover. We basically can't have any of our Ashkenaz friends over for meals during Passover. We, however, could go to them because they are so much more stringent than we are during Passover. Okay, now I want to clean these cabinets for Passover, at least the bottom two shelves. The top shelf is kind of hard to reach, so just going to kosher these bottom two shelves for Passover. Well, I guess not really kosher, clean them for Passover. So step one is, of course, to clear everything out. Once I have those shelves cleared, I just grab my cleaning spray and a cleaning cloth and I clean them out really, really well. And then I'm going to line the shelves with foil, just on the bottom, just to be sure that if there were any crumbs under there, I wouldn't accidentally pick them up on dishes and accidentally eat them. Crumbs meaning chametz, the food that we're not supposed to eat during Passover. I will go back later and tape all of this down. I just don't know where the tape is since we moved back in. And now I will repeat that entire process of clearing out the shelves, cleaning them, and lining them with foil on several other cabinets in the kitchen so that I have plenty of space to keep the dishes we will be using during Passover, as well as some of the food, kind of like a pantry up here, because my pantry will be locked for Passover. Drawers are basically the same process, and I'm also clearing out a few drawers today and cleaning them and lining them with foil as well. And along the way, I'm pulling out things like this silverware that I would like to kosher for Passover. We'll do that a little bit later on in this video. Hey guys, all right, so it is Tuesday now. So everything so far in the video has been on Monday and now we're on Tuesday. Okay, so what's been happening? Okay, so last night when my husband came home, he brought the oven cleaner with him. So once that bottom oven was done with its self-cleaning cycle, I went ahead and cleaned the top oven really well using that oven cleaner. And then I was able to go ahead and run that on the self-clean cycle last night as well. So both my ovens are done, which is fantastic. We also took turns working on the stovetop on that range with that degreaser and did the best that we could to get that cleaned up and ready to go. My wonderful husband stayed up late last night cleaning the grates for the range as well. So then this morning I woke up and I cleaned out a couple of more cabinets and one more drawer and added foil to that, and then got some blue painter's tape to get the foil down and well attached all over the kitchen. Okay, so all that's left now is to kosher all of the metal things in our kitchen, such as our silverware, measuring cups, a few things like that, and to pour the boiling water over our countertops and our sink. Okay, so we're getting ready right now to start doing the boiling of all of the silverware and other metal things for the kitchen. And that will make those items kosher for Passover. And then we still have to wait till a little bit later tonight because our counters and sink, everything had to be unused for 24 hours. So we're going to wait until later tonight, probably around 9, to do the countertops. So we'll get to that as well. All right, let's do it all. Okay, so this is our giant pot that we use to kosher our pots and pans and things like that. Basically what we've got here is a little setup where that propane tank is heating up the giant pot that is pretty full of water. Okay, so over here on our patio floor are the pots and pans and silverware and any other little things that we would like to kosher for Passover. These items are all metal. Okay, so the process itself is pretty simple. We bring that water to a nice rolling boil, and then we can add in the metal items. If that brings the boil down, then we just wait for the boil to come back up, and then we can remove those items. And then I spray them down with some cold water to give them a rinse, and then we are done. They are ready to go. Because all of these items have been sitting around on our patio ground and rinsed off with hose water, I will end up washing all of these again before I put them away. The kids were all sitting out on the patio with us in chairs by the windows where they could watch from a safe distance. They found this whole process quite entertaining. A few hours later and way past my bedtime, we started working on the kitchen again. So the first thing that we did was pouring boiling hot water onto our stovetop, onto the range. What we're doing here is making sure that boiling hot water is poured on every surface. Since my husband is a contractor, we used his fancy commercial wet vac to clean up all of the water that we had poured to kosher this surface. My son, of course, jumped in and was very eager to help and had such a blast vacuuming up the water. After that, we moved on to the countertops. Again, just pouring that boiling hot water over every surface of our countertops. My husband, of course, had the wet vac at the ready so that we could make sure we weren't spilling water all over the floors, though we did drape towels over the drawers and things there on the edge, just in case. This can be a very wet and messy process. While we were on this side of the kitchen, we went ahead and did the sink as well. Again, just pouring that boiling hot water over every surface, which was because our sink goes straight down. We had to make sure we were getting all of those sides really well before moving on to the bottom. After that, it was just repeating on our other countertops on the other side back by the range. If you are enjoying this video, by the way, I'd really appreciate it if you would go ahead and hit that like button. Helps me know what kinds of videos that you all like to see, so I know what kind of videos I should be making for you. This electric tea kettle, by the way, makes koshering the kitchen so much easier. I used to not have one of these, and I would literally boil water on the stove and do it that way, and it is so much messier and probably a little bit more dangerous because boiling hot water. But this tea kettle makes it a lot easier. And also using this wet vac. I don't know where this has been my whole life. This is our first year to use this while koshering the kitchen, and it has made it so much easier. So I'm really glad that we've discovered this. Our final step for koshering the kitchen was putting the grates back on the stovetop and then turning all of our burners on high for 5 minutes. And that is how we kosher our kitchen for Passover. I hope that you all enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next upload.